Every single day, over 2 billion cups of coffee are consumed across the world. That's 2 billion moments of warmth, energy, and comfort. But behind each sip lies a journey that crosses oceans, mountains, and the hands of countless workers. Right now, somewhere in the highlands of Ethiopia, Colombia, or Vietnam, a farmer is tending to trees that will produce the beans for your morning coffee. This journey takes 12 months from blossom to cup. It involves extreme altitudes, precise timing, and processes so delicate that one mistake can ruin an entire harvest. Today, we follow a single coffee bean from a remote mountain farm, all. The way to your kitchen table, coffee, grows best in a narrow band around the earth called the coffee belt. This zone sits between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. Countries like Brazil, Vietnam, Colombia, Ethiopia, and Indonesia dominate production. But coffee is not an easy crop. It demands specific conditions. The plant thrives at high altitudes, usually between 600 and 2,000 meters above sea level. The air up here is thin and cool. Morning mist rolls through the valleys. The soil must be rich in minerals, slightly acidic, and well-drained. The coffee plant itself is a small tree with glossy green leaves. In the wild, it can grow up to 9 meters tall, but farmers prune it to waist height for easier harvesting. Twice a year, delicate white flowers bloom across the branches. They smell sweet, almost like jasmine. Each flower lasts only a few days. After pollination, a tiny green berry begins to form. This berry, called a coffee cherry, will take 6 to 9 months to ripen. During this time, the farmer watches the weather closely. Too much rain causes fungus. Too little, and the cherries shrivel. Frost can kill an entire crop overnight. Growing coffee is not like growing wheat or corn. Coffee plants need constant attention. Farmers walk through the rows every single day. They check for pests, disease, and weeds. The most dangerous enemy is a tiny insect called the coffee borer beetle. This beetle drills into the cherry and lays eggs inside the bean. If left unchecked, it can destroy 80% of a harvest. Farmers use traps, natural predators, and sometimes careful pesticide application to control it. Water is carefully managed. In the dry season, irrigation systems drip water slowly to each plant. Too much water at the wrong time dilutes the flavor of the bean. The roots of coffee plants are shallow, so the soil must stay moist, but never waterlogged. Shade trees are planted between the rows. These tall trees protect the coffee from direct sunlight and create a cooler microclimate. Birds nest in these trees and eat harmful insects. It's a natural system that has worked for centuries. Fertilizer is applied 3 times a year. Organic farms use compost made from coffee pulp, animal manure, and decomposed plant matter. Chemical farms use nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium blends. The choice affects the final taste. Many farmers now return to organic methods because international buyers pay more for organic beans. Workers spreading compost around the base of coffee plants. Every few months, farmers prune the branches. They remove old wood and shape the tree to maximize sunlight exposure on the remaining branches. After 8 months of growth, the cherries finally turn from green to yellow, then to bright red. This is the signal. Harvest time has arrived. But here's the challenge. Not all cherries ripen at the same time. On a single branch, you might find green, yellow, and red cherries all together. Picking too early results in sour, underdeveloped beans. Picking too late gives fermented, overripe flavors. The solution: hand picking. In countries like Colombia and Kenya, experienced pickers move through the plantation multiple times over several weeks. They select only the deep red cherries. A skilled picker can harvest up to 45 kilograms of cherries in one day. That's about 9 kilograms of green coffee beans after processing. The work is exhausting. The terrain is steep. Pickers carry heavy baskets on their backs, climbing up and down slopes all day under the hot sun. In Brazil and Vietnam, where plantations are flatter and larger, machines are sometimes used. A mechanical harvester shakes the tree, and cherries fall onto a conveyor belt. This method is faster and cheaper, but it collects unripe and overripe cherries together. The quality suffers slightly. At the end of each day, the cherries are transported to the processing station. But the real transformation begins only after the harvest. Inside the processing mill, the cherries are dumped into large water tanks. Ripe cherries sink. Unripe and damaged ones float and are removed. Now comes the critical choice: wet processing or dry processing. Each method creates a completely different flavor. In wet processing, machines strip away the outer skin and pulp, leaving only the bean covered in a sticky layer called mucilage. The beans are placed in fermentation tanks for 12 to 48 hours. Microorganisms eat away the mucilage. The smell is strong, almost like overripe fruit. After fermentation, the beans are washed multiple times in fresh water channels. Then they are spread on large concrete patios or raised drying beds. Workers rake them constantly to ensure even drying. This takes 1 to 2 weeks. The beans must reach exactly 11% moisture content. Too dry and they crack. Too wet and they develop mold during storage. Dry processing is simpler but riskier. The whole cherry is laid out in the sun immediately after picking. For 3 to 4 weeks, workers turn the cherries by hand several times a day. The outer fruit dries and hardens around the bean. This method gives a sweeter, fruitier flavor, but requires perfect weather. One rainstorm can ruin everything. Once dried, the beans pass through hulling machines. Spinning drums and metal blades remove the dried outer layers. What emerges is the green coffee bean, smooth, pale, and ready for export. But first, they must be sorted. Machines blow air across the beans, separating them by weight. Optical sorters use cameras to detect defects and discolored beans at incredible speed. Finally, human workers sit at conveyor belts and remove any remaining bad beans by hand. This is where quality is perfected. The green beans are packed into 60-kilogram jute sacks. Each sack is labeled with the farm name, region, altitude, and processing method. These sacks are loaded into shipping containers. A single container can hold 18 tons of coffee, about 300 bags. The containers travel by truck to coastal ports, then by cargo ship across oceans. The journey from Colombia to Europe takes 3 weeks. From Vietnam to the United States, 4 weeks. Temperature and humidity inside the container are monitored constantly. Green coffee beans can last up to 12 months if stored properly, but fresher is always better. Once the container arrives, it's unloaded at a warehouse where importers inspect samples. Roasters from around the world visit these warehouses to taste and buy. Coffee supports over 25 million farming families worldwide. For many small farmers, coffee is the only source of income. A single hectare of land produces about 1,000 kilograms of green coffee per year. At current prices, that earns the farmer between $2,000 and $5,000 annually. Fair trade and specialty coffee programs now help farmers earn more by connecting them directly with buyers. In countries like Ethiopia and Honduras, coffee represents over 30% of total export earnings. The global coffee industry is worth over $100 billion. From a misty mountain farm to your morning cup, that single coffee bean has traveled thousands of miles and passed through dozens of hands. It survived pests, weather, and months of careful processing. The next time you take a sip, you're tasting the work of farmers, sorters, roasters, and shippers, all working together across the globe. If you enjoyed this journey, hit the like button and subscribe for more stories about the hidden processes behind everyday products. What other product should we explore next? Let us know in the comments below.